Good evening. Welcome to Dr. Patrick Live. And today we're going to talk about failure because, think about it. Failure or a failure mentality or mindset can just eat at us like crazy. Growing up, if someone sets the expectation that we have to get certain grades, and if we don't do it and feel like a failure, that idea that I'm a failure tattoos itself on my forehead, in my brain, and it reminds me all the time I'm not good enough. I have failed. I didn't do it well, over and over and over. Nietzsche says, whatever didn't kill you, right? I don't know, that's a pretty heavy word. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But is that really true? Sometimes the events we go through are overwhelming in themselves, especially as it relates to trauma. Trauma tries to steal any sense of value. When we're born with this incredible sense of value deep within, and then the world comes in and tries to steal it. When it's empty, then we try to put things into it to try to make ourselves feel better. And so if we put something in there and say, okay, this is a goal, and then I fail at it, it's easy to call myself a failure. And then pretty soon, I think I have to fail at everything because I just have no value. So how do we change that failure mentality into something healthy? How do we overcome things that are just so devastating? I remember once when I was in high school and we had to go on a 10-mile jog. I was training on the track team and I was a sprinter, so I really didn't have this endurance thing down. And my coach said, go with Julio and we're going to run to the junior high school and back. 10 miles. And I thought, okay. So on the way to the high school, on the junior high school, I was doing great. I kept up with Julio. Everything was great. But when I got there, I was wasted. I'd never run longer than 5 miles ever. And now I had to turn around and run back. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So I did two things. First, I found a tennis ball, right, that it was on the ground. And the second thing is I started looking at the telephone poles. And so I would bounce that ball every so often to distract me from the fact that I was running. And then I would tell myself, I'm just going to run to the next telephone pole. I'm just going to run to the next telephone pole. I'm just going to run to the next telephone pole. And guess what happened? I ended up running another 5 miles. It taught me that no matter what the obstacle in front of me, if I can break it down into these little manageable sections, I can overcome anything. One little piece at a time. I keep the big goal in front of me, but then I tackle it one little thing at a time. You know, there are some things that are killers when it comes to having an overcoming mindset. They almost are like fertilizer that if you put it on, almost sets you up to be a failure. So when you're really looking at how do I overcome failure, you have to realize the things you need to avoid. The first one is vagueness, right? The clearer your goal, the more apt you are to meet it. If I'm vague in wanting to beat my addiction or living sober or accomplishing something, then I probably won't do it. The second big fertilizer that sabotages me is extrinsic reasoning, trying to do something for a reason outside of myself. In other words, if I want to do something good for me, it's an internal value. I want it to be a better me versus money or possessions or accolades or the neighbor or the spouse. If I do something for the external motivator, it's hard to keep going. A fear of failure. If I focus on fear, it will soon consume me and I will see only the negative. I won't see the positive. I remember years ago being in West Virginia on the New River, and there was this big rock where they had filmed the Mountain Dew commercial, which was really popular back then. And I got up on that big rock and I thought, man, if I really look at this, I'm not jumping off because it's so overwhelming. And I went over to the edge and it's paralyzing to look down. A fear of failure, fear of the rock, fear of jumping keeps you from doing it. So I just had to do it, and I did. I just ran and did it. And it was so exhilarating. Don't let the fear of failure keep you from trying. The other is inactivity. The fourth thing that can get in the way is we say, oh, I need to do it, but then we don't do it. We say, I'll get to it, but we don't actually start. You have to move forward. And the last one is a lack of knowledge. If I say I want to do something but I don't know how to do it, it gets in my head, I don't even try. So in this day and age, you can Google stuff, you can do some research, you can take a class, you can do whatever, but educate yourself so you can move forward. There is no reason to get stuck in the midst of failure. You really have to say, am I driving for the future, or am I fixated on failing in the now? You know, it has been said that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Think about it. Think about your life. Do you want to go into the future with some excitement and zeal and possibility and hope? Or are you looking backwards thinking, I can't do it because I have these tapes playing in my head that I'm not good enough? Is failure a roadblock? Did something happen in my life where I say I simply can't overcome it? Or is failure simply an opportunity to build on, so that no matter what has happened in my life, I'm going to use it as a building block to move forward? The choice is up to you, and the choice is up to me. Never let failure prevent you from trying. There's always hope. Never give up. Doc out.